I mean, a high-ranking Tongan lady reply. Ma'aloa pito ho'afiona le'lemai. To sleep, moi alala tofa. Speak, we tautala. An orator got the lie. And a lady Talanoa. And this is so interesting in the Samoan Bible, which is so beautiful. I mean, there's nothing like it in English, because the guys that translate straight from the Greek. I mean, it's powerful. And what's interesting is as Jesus fed the lies, the Father, Talanoa. Isn't that interesting? Think about that for a second. Let me show you some other respect terms, because everything changes. Forgive. Okay. The word for pig, what? Mantualanoa. Foundation. We built our house in a valley, but the respect word is piety, which, by the way, is Tahitian. You know, you go to Morea and talk about it. Chicken moa, solely piety, that walks across the foundation. Except in a certain village where the high chief's name is Moa, and you never say that. Everybody calls the chicken a taki pai pai sort of dog, taki fowl. Okay, so you get the idea. I know it sounds complex, but if you can pick up a couple of these words and use them in your speech, it goes a long, long way. And the general principles are this. You always use the high words on each other and low words on yourself. And you want to elevate the person you're speaking to and treat yourself with humility and respect. So I say, oh, what a beautiful mountain you have. What a beautiful house. Please come into my holiday. Come into my little hut. You have a beautiful mansion. Humility is so important in Polynesian. Loto malau, to be of humble heart in other people's presence, is always considered good manners, as it is in Japan, many cultures. Do not use respect phrases that you don't understand. I was at a kava ceremony one time in Samoa, and they asked me to speak. I gave a kava speech. Afterwards, the orator, listen to this. The guy sitting opposite me in the village, he says, you know, Nafanua, we're just but children in this village. Could you please explain that proverb you use? What that means is that's like taking a shotgun. I don't think you know what you're talking about. And unfortunately, I knew the proverb explained, oh, thank you very much. Don't ever say things you don't understand. And the best source of information are chiefs and elders. Most elderly people know how these words, and if you go and say, hey, could you help me so I could say a few things that's respectful, they'd be thrilled to teach you. And that's the very best way you can. Manners. Remove shoes when you walk across the mat. Just common sense. Sit fatai. We know what that word means. Okay, so with our legs crossed, or if you stick your feet out, cover them with a mat. Never point your feet somewhere. Never stand in somebody else's seat when we're speaking. And of course, in a lecture like this, through low level, okay. Accept grifts, great. Things come. My mother was so lovely. You know, when I got my missionary call in 1972 to Samoa, you know, my mother started crying. I said, "Why are you crying?" She said, "I'm so happy. I know they'll take care of you, Paul. I know they'll watch out for you." So her advice to me, she said, "Paul, whatever these people feed you, remember it's coming from their heart. Remember it's the very best they have. Treat it with respect." So I remember my mother's words. So my first day as a missionary, I'm out in Safune village, on the backside of Savai, Fatuvai. And they bring out a breadfruit. And they go, pop, 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 like this. So I grab my breadfruit, it's baked. And then they break it open. They break mine open. I'm watching, and then they dip it in the coconut cream. I dip it in the coconut cream and eat it. Wow, it's great. Everything's great. Oh, it's great. I love this stuff. And then I hit the core of the breadfruit. And I'm trying to chew this thing. And the people are saying, blah, 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 blah. I can't start saying, I'm chewing this thing. This sucker's like a golf ball. And to this day in that village, I am known as Palangi Aifune. The Palangi that eats breadfruit. But accept this gracefully. Remember that Polynesians differ from the heart. Do not show negative emotions. The highest chiefs never demonstrate anger. They're always polite. In fact, if you push them hard, they just get more and more polite. I've seen it. The chiefs in Pali Lupo who tutored me for my entertainship said, look, Paul, if you get angry, you've lost on me. Second you get angry, you've lost. Be polite. You never lose by being polite. And accept kava. How do you accept kava? If it comes, you take the bowl, you drip a little drop in front of you to demonstrate returning goodness to the earth. You say, Ia Manuia. Everybody say that. Ia Manuia. Stop. Say, Ia Manuia. And then you drink. Or not. You don't have to drink if you want to. You can hand it back to the guy. And that will get you through Tonga, Samoa, Vanuatu, Fiji, everywhere the cost stuff's the same. Families. They include all individuals who descend from a common ancestor. This is very non-Western. In Western world, we think of a nuclear family, mom and dad and the kids. No, not in Polynesian. In Samoa, the extended family controls Matai titles, and every Matai title is linked to a piece of land. They have shared economic ties, which we call fa'alavilami. Interesting enough, this system is the same as Lloyd's of London. The insurance system of Lloyd's of London, they have like 600 names. These are people who have pledged their entire earthly goods to cover Lloyd's of London insurance. And most years it's good, you get a check. A few years, if there's a bad hurricane, you have to send money in. Lot. They share responsibility for all members, and this is so hard. It's like the police chief was trying to teach the guy in Hilo. That chief, even though he's 3,000 miles away, he shares personal responsibility for seeing you up here. And in Samoa, the entire family could be punished for the act of one single person. And the way we do this is called Nāfanua. Now let me describe this for a second. I was in Oakland. We were living in, I was a scientist at Berkeley, Cal Berkeley. And we had an interesting thing happen in a state. There was basketball games. You know, Samoans are just so terrific. They're such great athletes. You know, it's binary. It's either zero or full war. And that's why I stopped playing rugby with Samoans. It's probably my life too much. You know, I mean, they would be very kind of apologetic as they carry your broken body. So there was this call that was disputed of this basketball game. It was a Samoan ward playing a Polynesian ward. And the stand empties. Angry Polynesians chasing the ref. He's not a member of our faith, but he's running through the state center. They're in Oakland. Running. He runs into the high council room, locks the door, piles up chairs, calls the SWAT team. You know? Of course, by this time, everybody's calmed down. It's no big deal. But this guy's totally freaked out. You know, have, 20 big Samoans chasing you. This is not how long I did today. And so it became a church issue. What do we do? And my friend, who was high council trying to represent the Samoans, he said, well, this guy's totally freaked out. He said, because he wakes up in the morning in his apartment in Berkeley, looks out, and there's Samoans sitting out there in front of his apartment, and they have mats over their head. And he keeps looking, and there's like cases of corned beef, and there's cases of food there. And are they trying to eat him, or are they counting him? What's the deal? He said, no, you don't understand. I said, this is an Nāfanua. There is no greater way a Polynesian to apologize. They're trying to tell him they're sorry from the bottom of their hearts. And what it means is you sit outside, say to somebody driving their car down Savine, they hit and kill a child, boom. That night, there will be, the whole village will come from the driver, sit out there with mats. And what's interesting is you don't know who was the driver. You just see these mats. And so the angry father, and they'll go get his gun, I'm going to shoot that. Well, which one do you shoot? You know, there's 35. Meanwhile, the village saying, look, calm down, cool it, just calm down. And you sit there as the sun rises, and you sit there until they finally forgive you and they welcome you in. And it is such a profound way. What you're basically saying is, we give our lives for little Simi over here who did this bad thing. It's called Nāfanua. And in the courts of both American and Western Samoa, that is regarded legally as a way of mitigating punishment, which is profound. We'll talk more about that anymore. Courtship and marriage. Here's where some of our poor Samoans have been totally confused. There's a right way and a wrong way in Samoan culture and in Tongan culture. First of all, dating in public, if display of affection are not allowed. You don't want to do this. You know, it's just really frowned on down in the villages. So what happens? Well, the potential suitor, here's this guy here. He courts the entire family. That means you show up with your ukulele, you show up with bags of food, you make the umu, you kill the pig, you come in, you feed them. Next day, you come next week, you feed them. You mind your manners, you pay attention to the old lady in the corner, all this stuff. You do not court a woman, you court an entire family. And then and only then will they maybe allow you to consider going further. If you deviate from this, this will trigger violent response from the brothers. Every Samoan, deep in their genes, knows it's their job to beat up any boy that shows interest in their sister. Yes. I have a friend, Leonard Peters. He's so great. Maybe some of you know Leonard Lai. His son was a football star. His daughter went to junior prom. It's some poor Palangi boy that's taken her to the junior prom. Leonard gives this boy what do you call it, a pager? And he says, "Now, have a nice time." He says, "When that pager goes off, you have 10 minutes to get my doctor." And then his son, Leonard Jr., goes on and says, "You go for my sister."
You didn't realize that the junior prom is sort of life-threatening issue.
But this is great. This is true, isn't it? Yeah. I mean, do not goof with a woman in the presence of her brother. So, whether you want to go through that, well, the Ions have clandestine romances. Can't show public affection, so you have a buddy, a soa. The woman has a boy, a girl. Boy has another boy. They chat and they have these little clandestine